There are dreams that are not just dreams. Everyone who has ever felt a soft touch in the middle of the night, heard a voice that seemed to come from afar, seen a smile that should no longer be, knows. They know that there are moments when the heart recognizes a truth that the mind cannot explain. When someone who is no longer with us appears in our dreams, something inside us shudders. An ancient feeling awakens like a wave from the depths of the ocean. It is longing. Is it longing, or something much greater? We are often taught to believe that these dreams are merely the fruit of memories, simple constructions of the mind trying to soften the pain of loss. But what if it's not just that? What if, behind the veil of sleep, meetings occur that do not obey the laws of time and matter? What if, in that moment, we are truly crossing the border between two worlds? Helena Blavatsky, one of the greatest spiritual thinkers of her time, devoted her life to unraveling the mysteries that connect the visible and the invisible. For her, dreams are not just echoes of consciousness. They are portals, bridges, and signs that life is far greater than what we can see or touch. When you dream of someone who has passed away, according to Blavatsky, you are not just reliving a memory. Perhaps you are meeting that soul on the plane where love does not know the word end. Perhaps, in this silent meeting, there is something that needs to be said, something that needs to be felt, something that transcends death itself. These dreams do not come by chance. They are the subtle touches of eternity upon our hearts. They remind us that true love cannot be broken by time or distance. Perhaps upon waking, you felt an inexplicable peace, or perhaps you felt an even deeper longing. These feelings, however incomprehensible they may be, carry clues within them. They tell us that there exists a reality that cannot be seen with the eyes, but which the soul recognizes immediately. Today I want to invite you to walk with me through this mystery, without haste, not with fear, but with the same reverence with which we open a letter written by someone we love very much. A letter that has traversed many worlds to reach us. Let's figure out together what it truly means to dream of someone who has passed away. Let's understand what Helena Blavatsky discovered in her research, reflections, and spiritual journeys. We will learn to listen to what these dreams are trying to tell us, not with the ears of the mind, but with the deep silence of the heart. Perhaps, at the end of this journey, you will not only understand your dreams, perhaps you will understand life itself in a way you could not have imagined before. For sometimes, it is in the quietest moments, in the space between waking and sleep, between the present and the eternal, that the greatest truths are revealed to us. For Helena Blavatsky, dreams are not just games of the mind or chaotic echoes of memories. They are often manifestations of a deeper reality that eludes ordinary perception. During sleep, the physical body rests, but the soul, that eternal spark, can awaken and move freely. While the mind is silent and the senses sleep, a part of our consciousness disconnects from the chains of matter. In this state, we are capable of overcoming invisible barriers, accessing dimensions that remain hidden during wakefulness. Blavatsky describes true sleep as a partial journey of the soul, a glimpse into the subtle planes that exist beyond the physical world. It is important to distinguish ordinary dreams from those that have spiritual significance. Many dreams are simply remnants of everyday mental activity, fragments of conversations, anxieties, desires, and fears that are reorganized during sleep. They merge into incoherent images, quickly disappearing after waking. Such dreams, while natural, say little about the true nature of the soul. But there are other dreams. Dreams that come with a different power. Dreams that awaken us in tears, that envelop us with a sensation of real presence, as if for a few moments we were truly in another place, in another dimension. These dreams are not fabricated by the mind. They are visits. They are silent journeys of the soul. According to Blavatsky, the astral world, that plane of being which is invisible to the physical eye, is as real as the material world. It is populated by energies, consciousnesses, forms, and beings in various states of evolution. When we are in deep sleep, the soul, detached from the density of the body, can ascend into these spheres and meet other souls there. Souls of the living, souls of the sleeping, souls of the disembodied. A dream about a departed person is often one such meeting. A rare moment when two consciousnesses recognize each other beyond time, beyond physical separation. In these moments, we are not just remembering, we are experiencing real contact, however brief, with the one we love. Blavatsky emphasized that sleep is a realm where the visible and the invisible intertwine. It is a fragile but powerful bridge between the fleeting present and eternity. During sleep, the soul can be taught, comforted, warned, or simply soothed by other presences inhabiting the astral plane. Many who have dreamed of deceased loved ones report similar sensations. A gaze that says everything without words, an embrace that calms without explanation, a silence filled with meaning. These elements, more than any rational reasoning, point to the depth of the encounter. It is not uncommon for people to wake up after such dreams with a new understanding, an unexpected peace, or a clear resolution that previously seemed impossible. Such inner transformation is one of the surest signs that the dream was not merely mental, it was spiritual. However, Blavatsky also warns us, the astral plane is vast and complex. Not everything found there is pure and true. There are illusions, thought forms, and unconscious creations that can mimic reality. This is why it is very important to discern the nature of the dream, which we will discuss later. For now, it is important to understand, sleep is a journey, not a physical journey, but a journey of the soul into a space where love, memory, and consciousness continue to exist by different laws. When you dream of someone who has passed away, you are perhaps passing through this invisible portal. For a few precious moments, you may be experiencing a reunion that material life can no longer offer. And in that brief interval between sleep and wakefulness, between the here and the beyond, the soul remembers what it has always known deep down, that nothing true can be lost, and that those we love remain connected to us, even when time and death seem to say otherwise. A dream about a loved one is not just a consolation. It is a silent reminder of the immortality of the soul and the eternity of love. If you enjoy such reflections, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single video. When death comes, what we are is not erased. The body dissolves, the senses fall silent, but the essence, the soul, continues its journey, crossing boundaries that remain invisible to human eyes. Helena Blavatsky, in her research on the nature of existence, described death not as an end, but as a complex transition, full of meaning. For her, death only marks the separation between the physical and spiritual parts of the human being. The soul, the bearer of higher consciousness, does not disappear. It proceeds on a path that obeys the immutable laws of spiritual evolution. This path, according to Blavatsky, consists of stages. The first is the slow detachment from earthly emotions and desires. Even after separation from the body, the soul still carries within it the remnants of the life it left behind. Love, sorrows, unfulfilled dreams, deep emotional bonds. These ties create a kind of spiritual gravity that prevents the soul from immediately ascending to the higher spheres. It is during this transitional phase that the soul remains closest to the physical plane. It feels, remembers, and observes. It can maintain a connection with those it loved, with the causes it championed, or with the pain it could not heal. This proximity is not a punishment. It is part of the natural process of purification, during which the soul learns to let go of the emotional chains binding it to the earth. Over time, which for the soul is not measured as it is for us, the second stage begins. The gradual ascent into the higher spheres of the astral plane, and subsequently entry into more subtle realms, such as Devachan, a heavenly state described by the theosophical tradition. There, the soul finds rest, learns, and prepares for future cycles of existence. But until this process is complete, while the soul is still between the material world and the higher worlds, it can manifest. And it is in this gap that dreams can become bridges. When we dream of someone who has passed away, we are not necessarily accessing memories or fragments of our consciousness. Perhaps we are making contact with the soul of the departed, which, out of love, longing, or need, still resonates with us. Blavatsky teaches us that such manifestations most often occur when there are strong bonds of attachment or unresolved issues. An unspoken word, ungiven forgiveness, an interrupted farewell. All of this can maintain a connection between souls after physical separation. Such meetings in dreams are often an attempt to complete unfinished business. They can be gestures of love that were impossible to express in life. They can be gentle warnings, guidance for those still walking the earth. Or they can simply be manifestations of a loving presence, signs that, though absent from sight, those we love have not truly left us. It is important to emphasize that, according to Blavatsky, not all souls remain in such a state for long. The most detached souls, those who manage to quickly free themselves from earthly attachments, tend to ascend to the higher spheres almost immediately, where they no longer interact with the physical plane. Souls still bound by strong emotions or unfinished missions, on the contrary, may linger at this intermediate stage. For this reason, dreams of those who have recently left this world are more common than dreams of those who departed many years ago. As the soul evolves, its ties to the earthly world become more and more tenuous until they cease altogether. Blavatsky reminds us that respecting this process is fundamental. We must not force contacts or become overly attached to the manifestations. We should accept them as coming blessings, gifts of love that help us realize that true separation is only apparent. Therefore, a dream of a loved one at this stage is a spiritual privilege. It is an opportunity, if only for a short while, to feel the continuity of life beyond the body. It is silent proof that love overcomes boundaries that death can never destroy. And most importantly, it is a call for acceptance and calm, a reminder that the soul's path is long, beautiful, and sacred, and that every reunion, even in a dream, is part of this invisible journey toward the light. There are dreams that carry a different imprint. You wake up and remember every detail: the voice, the smell, the warmth of presence. These are not blurry images that vanish when you open your eyes. They are vivid memories, charged with an intensity that mere memory cannot create. These encounters are not illusions. Helena Blavatsky teaches us that during deep sleep, when the chains of the physical body are loosened, the astral body, the subtle and luminous part of our being, moves, traversing planes where dense matter cannot pursue us. It is in this state that true spiritual journeys occur. The astral plane, according to Blavatsky, is a vast field of energies and consciousnesses. It is a space of multiple dimensions, where thoughts, emotions, and souls coexist on different levels of vibration. It is in this invisible but real space that we reunite with those we love. In these nightly journeys, we do not see ghosts or echoes of the past. We meet living beings, full of consciousness, who inhabit other spheres of existence, beings who, out of emotional closeness, bonds of love, or unfinished missions, draw near to us. Taking advantage of the interval when our soul is freed from the burden of flesh, these meetings do not happen by chance. They are permitted within a higher order, in observance of the spiritual laws governing the invisible universe. The vibrational affinity between two souls, even separated by death, creates a magnetism favorable to reunion on the astral plane. When you dream of someone who has passed away, and you feel the meeting was real, when serene emotions are present, exchanges of deep glances, embraces that warm the spirit, you have likely crossed this boundary. Blavatsky describes these experiences as sacred moments when love overcomes the limitations of time and matter, as if for a brief instant two souls recognize each other in their primordial purity, free from the fears, guilt, and pain that so often cloud earthly life. Many accounts of real dreams share similar traits. There is no rush, no fear. Time seems to have stopped. Words, when they appear, carry a wisdom that transcends ordinary language. Sometimes speaking is unnecessary at all. It is enough simply to be together to convey all that needs to be said. These encounters are not just emotional comfort. They have a deeper spiritual purpose. They serve to strengthen the soul, encourage people to continue their path, ease an invisible burden that might otherwise slow the progress of both the living and the departed. However, Blavatsky warns us that such true meetings are rare and precious. Not every dream is a genuine journey. It requires discernment, calm, and above all, humility to recognize what is the fruit of a true meeting and what is the product of desire or longing. A striking feature of authentic encounters is their lasting impact on the soul. When we wake up, we do not feel confusion or suffering. On the contrary, we feel a quiet peace, an unshakable certainty that love is still alive. This calm is a clear sign that we have touched something beyond illusions. Another important aspect is that these encounters do not imprison us in the past. They liberate us. They do not make us desperately wish to relive what was. They inspire us to move forward with greater wisdom, greater courage, greater confidence in the eternity of life. Helena Blavatsky asserted in her works that death does not destroy the bonds of the spirit. It only changes the way these bonds manifest. Therefore, a dream of a loved one can be a silent confirmation that the connection remains, invisible to the eye but unbreakable to the heart. When you meet a loved one again in a dream, do not think you are merely reliving a memory. Perhaps at that moment you are living in a reality that is truer than any other. A reality where love is the language, time has no meaning, and separation is but a fleeting illusion. And when you wake up, even if the day seems ordinary, carry within you the certainty that there exists a plane where nothing is lost, where nothing is forgotten, where love remains untouched, silently waiting for all of us. There is a subtle difference between genuine encounters and illusions created by our own pain. Helena Blavatsky, who possessed keen insight into the invisible worlds, firmly warned, "Not everything we experience in a dream occurs on the spiritual plane. The human mind, driven by strong emotions, is capable of creating such vivid images that they become indistinguishable from reality. The desire to reunite with someone who has left us is so strong that it often shapes scenes in our dreams. Longing, the need for consolation, regret over unspoken words. All of this can form representations that seem like real visits, but are essentially projections of our own desires. Blavatsky explained that the lower astral plane is permeated with thought forms, energetic creations born of human emotions. These forms, driven by love, pain, or fear, can gain consistency during sleep and interact with us as if they were independent entities. Thus, we may dream of figures perfectly resembling our loved ones, but which are in fact reflections of our own mind. Understanding this difference is crucial because while a genuine encounter strengthens and liberates, an illusory dream can deprive us of freedom. It can keep us tethered to fantasies that hinder spiritual growth. fueling the illusion that the past can be relived, that death can be undone by an effort of will. Dreams generated by the mind, though they may bring brief comfort, often leave behind upon waking a feeling of emptiness, melancholy, and incongruity. They tend to create emotional dependency, a desire to fall asleep again only to find that comforting image once more. On the other hand, real meetings, those that occur soul to soul on the astral plane, leave a completely different impression. They bring calm, understanding, and acceptance. They do not encourage escape from reality, but inspire us to live in it with greater wisdom and courage. Blavatsky insisted on the importance of discernment, not to doubt every experience, but to approach it with spiritual maturity. Accepting that not every dream is a portal does not diminish the beauty of those that are. On the contrary, it makes them even more valuable, even more worthy of reverence. One way to develop this discernment is through inner calm. When the heart is at peace, free from emotional demands, it becomes easier to recognize the difference between an echo of longing and a true call of the soul. Another important recommendation is to observe how the dream affects you over time. Illusory dreams tend to fade or cause growing anxiety. Authentic dreams remain vivid in memory without creating emotional dependency. They illuminate the journey without chaining us to the past. Blavatsky also cautioned against the obsessive search for contact with the deceased. Excessive attachment, attempts to force meetings through questionable practices, expose the soul to astral dangers, illusions that can lead the spirit astray from its true path. Respect for the laws of the invisible world is a sign of wisdom. The departed are undergoing their own process of evolution. Interfering with this process, even out of love, is an unconscious form of selfishness. The true manifestation of love is to wish for them to proceed on their path with freedom and light. Therefore, when a dream of a departed person touches your soul, accept it with gratitude, but at the same time with discernment. Ask yourself, did this dream bring me peace? Did it inspire me to live a better life? Or did it only intensify my sorrow and attachment? If the answer is calm and inner strength, then it was likely a genuine encounter on a spiritual level. If, on the contrary, there remains only a feeling of emptiness or confusion, it may have been merely a reflection of your own pain. Both types of dreams have their value. Even the creations of the mind reveal our deepest needs and teach us about emotional bonds. But it is important to know where we stand. The soul that consciously walks between the visible and invisible worlds becomes stronger, freer, better prepared to comprehend the mysteries that life and death gradually reveal. Remember, true love does not need illusions to exist. It is strong enough to pierce any veil, even the one that separates waking from sleep, body from soul, life from eternity. How can we tell? How to distinguish a dream inspired by longing from a real meeting on the spiritual plane? Helena Blavatsky, with her deep understanding of the invisible worlds, offers us clues to recognize this difference. She teaches us that in spiritual life, genuine experience leaves special traces, and that the soul, even when the mind wavers, is capable of recognizing truth when it touches it. The first sign of a genuine encounter is serenity. When the soul truly meets another on the higher planes, the result is not despair or anxiety, but peace. As if for a few moments a soft light has touched our wounds, without words, without explanations, simply by its presence. This calm does not come from the satisfaction of the desire to see someone again. It comes from an inner awareness that the connection between souls is still alive and unbreakable. It is a feeling of continuity, of a loving presence that overcomes physical absence. Another telling feature: communication in such encounters occurs beyond words. Often in the dream, only a few phrases are spoken, or none at all. Yet we understand everything. A gaze, a touch, Simply being together conveys whole messages of love, forgiveness, and support. It is a silent language that does not pass through reasoning but goes straight to the heart. Blavatsky insisted that in true dreams, the emotional content is pure. There is no manipulation, no demands. The soul that returns for a brief meeting does so without intrusion, without imprisonment, without demanding anything in return. Its presence is like a candle lit in a dark room. It illuminates without effort, warms without consuming. An important criterion is also the impression the dream leaves. Ordinary dreams fade over time, vanishing like mist at dawn. Real dreams, on the contrary, remain vivid in memory. Days, months, even years later, they remain clear. Not as a burden, but as a quiet light accompanying us. These dreams do not create attachment. They do not make us yearn for the past or trap us in sorrow. On the contrary, they offer us understanding. We understand that life continues, that love remains, that separation is only a passing appearance. Another characteristic Blavatsky emphasizes is absolute respect for free will. On the spiritual plane, nothing is coercive. Free souls do not impose will, demand promises, or create emotional dependencies. They present themselves as they are, messengers of love, freedom, and growth. If a dream brings feelings of guilt, fear, pressure, or demand, it was likely formed more by the unconscious desires of the dreamer than by true communication. Evolved souls understand that true love liberates, and it is through this freedom that they manifest. It is also important to pay attention to the context of the dream. Blavatsky teaches us that true dreams usually occur during periods of inner transition, when we are facing important decisions, experiencing deep pain, or when our soul is ready to receive higher teachings. They do not arise on a whim. They are spiritual gifts given to us when we need them most, and when we are most capable of understanding. Moreover, true dreams tend to harmonize, not confuse. Even if they carry complex messages, such as a call for change, a warning, or a farewell, they do so in a way that strengthens our confidence in life and in ourselves. Helena Blavatsky also reminds us that to recognize the authenticity of a dream, it is necessary to cultivate inner silence. A restless mind, eager for signs, tends to distort spiritual experiences. On the other hand, a calm, detached mind, open to mystery without demands, becomes capable of perceiving the subtle vibrations of truth. Therefore, when you wake from a dream that seems more real than life itself, do not rush to classify it. Feel it. Let it speak not only to your mind, but to your soul. Over time, if it is true, it will continue to illuminate your path. If it is merely the fruit of longing, it will dissolve, leaving only the knowledge that true love is so strong it can inspire even the most beautiful creation, even if it is just a whisper in memory. But when the meeting is genuine, when two souls touch beyond the veil of death, a silent certainty sets in, not as faith, but as inner knowing. A certainty that love, presence, and connection do not merely belong to this world, but are part of the very eternal nature of being. And this certainty, quiet and deep, is perhaps the greatest gift a true dream can bestow. And for those who have already passed away, what does it mean to return in a dream? Helena Blavatsky invites us to look beyond our pain and longing. She reminds us that on the other side of the veil, souls that are still close to the physical plane retain a certain sensitivity to those they left behind. For these souls, love does not dissolve with death. It continues to vibrate as a living bridge, connecting worlds separated only by appearance. Returning in a dream is often a gesture of silent love, not an obligation, not a whim, but a spontaneous movement of a soul that recognizes in another's pain a need for comfort and hope. For the deceased who are still connected to the earthly world, visiting someone in a dream can be an act of deep generosity. It is like reaching out an invisible hand across time and space, offering a final embrace, a final word of encouragement, or simply the feeling that the separation is not final. Blavatsky teaches us that these visits do not occur without higher permission. They are permitted when they serve a great purpose, to ease pain, inspire faith, promote the detachment needed for both the living and the deceased to follow their evolutionary paths. For those who have passed away, appearing in a dream can also be a necessary farewell. In life, the parting was not always complete. There are gestures that were not made, words that were not said, forgiveness that was not granted. In this context, the dream becomes a beautiful opportunity to complete what earthly existence left unfinished. But it is important to understand that for the deceased, this gesture of return is not an act of suffering. Most often, it is a gesture of liberation, a way to break ties that, if maintained in an unbalanced state, could bind both souls, preventing them from continuing their journey. Blavatsky describes the astral plane as an area of intense emotions, where the bonds of love and attachment still resonate strongly. As long as these bonds are softened by understanding and acceptance, the soul somehow feels the need to help those still walking the earth. When a soul visits a loved one in a dream, it does not seek to be held on to. It offers its presence so that the other person may find peace, not to fuel longing or suffering. It presents itself as a brief light, a living reminder of the love that remains, and also as an invitation to continue life, to accept the mystery of existence. This is why genuine dreams of the deceased often bring a feeling of relief and strength. They are not nightmares. They are not emotional traps. They are moments of reunion with what is eternal, assurance that true love is never lost. For the disembodied soul, this visit is also a sign that it is ready to move on. The completion of earthly ties is a necessary stage for ascending to higher levels, where the call of the spirit is stronger than any memories of the material world. In some cases, reunion in a dream may be the last conscious manifestation of that soul on the astral plane. Having offered the necessary comfort or message, it continues on its path, free to grow, learn, and prepare for new cycles of evolution. Blavatsky emphasizes that for the deceased, leaving the physical plane is as important as it is for the living to learn to accept their departure. Excessive attachment, even if disguised as love, can become an invisible chain hindering the progress of both sides. Therefore, when someone you loved appears to you in a dream, accept this visit with an open heart, not as a person trying to hold on to a fading shadow, but as one honoring a received gift. Their presence in that brief moment is a reminder that separation is temporary. It is a confirmation that love overcomes all boundaries. Moreover, it is an invitation to live more fully, with greater gratitude, with a greater awareness of the preciousness of every moment. For both those who have departed and those who remain, life continues. And in the great cycle of existence, every parting is merely a prelude to a greater and brighter reunion. Helena Blavatsky, reflecting on the mysteries of sleep and death, wrote, "Sleep is an initiation. Death is its fulfillment." In these few words, she offers us a key to understanding the profound meaning of our nightly experiences. Sleep is not just a biological phenomenon, not just an invention of the unconscious. For Blavatsky, it is a silent training, a rehearsal for the great transition we will all inevitably make. During sleep, our consciousness partially detaches from the physical body. It wanders the subtle planes, learning, remembering, meeting people again. These experiences, though mostly forgotten upon waking, prepare the soul for the moment when the separation becomes final and matter ceases to be its abode. This is why true dreams, those that connect us with the spiritual dimension, possess such transformative power. In a sense, they are glimpses of life beyond life, an experience that reveals to us that death is not annihilation, but a continuation on another level of existence. Blavatsky reminds us of another crucial truth. Nothing that is true can be lost. Not even death can steal what is eternal. This statement sounds like a balm for those suffering from longing. It teaches us that love, the genuine connection between souls, is not destroyed by time, distance, or death. What is real remains, even if our physical eyes can no longer see it. When we dream of a departed loved one, we briefly touch this immortal truth. It doesn't matter if it's a clear image or just a subtle sensation of presence. What matters is the inner experience, the silent awareness that something essential was never lost. These dreams, described by Blavatsky as moments of spiritual initiation, are capable of dissolving the fear of death. When we feel the living presence of someone we love, we understand that existence extends beyond matter. We understand that life is a continuous flow, moving from one state to another, never ceasing. Arising from this understanding, nostalgia changes its nature. It ceases to be an open wound and turns into reverence. We stop looking upon absence as a void and begin to see it as a sacred space filled with a presence that, though invisible, is real and active. Blavatsky also warns us that recognizing eternity should not trap us in nostalgia. True wisdom lies in honoring the bonds of love while also allowing both ourselves and the departed to follow their evolutionary paths. A dream of the deceased is not a call to become fixated on the past. It is a gentle reminder that life continues in other forms, in other spheres, and that the true connection is never broken. Trusting in this continuity, we learn to live more fully in the present. We understand that every gesture of love, every word of affection, every act of kindness has eternal value. Nothing done from the heart is lost. Blavatsky teaches us that just as dreams reveal reality beyond matter, so too must life itself be lived as a preparation for eternity. To live with awareness, with integrity, with compassion, that is the true preparation for the great life that awaits us. When we recall a deep dream with someone who has passed away, we are actually touching the edge of a greater reality, where there is no final separation, only transformation. These moments teach us, more than any speech, that death is simply a change of state, that love is a universal language that overcomes all barriers, and that the human soul bears the stamp of immortality. Therefore, every true dream is a gift, an open window into infinity, a whisper of eternity that tenderly tells us, "You are not alone." What is true in you, what is true in the one you love, will never be lost. Perhaps you dreamed of a person you loved very much. Perhaps it was an ordinary night, without omens or expectations. And suddenly, that presence filled the space of your dream with a tenderness words cannot convey. Perhaps you woke up with tears in your eyes or with a smile. Your heart tightened with longing or filled with a quiet peace difficult to explain. Perhaps you looked at the dark ceiling of your bedroom and for a brief moment felt that you were not alone. Perhaps you understood that this dream was not a coincidence or a deception of a tired mind. Perhaps it was indeed a reunion, a sacred moment when the distances between worlds are erased and love speaks louder than absence. For true love knows no distances. It does not bow to farewells. It does not crumble in the silence of death. Helena Blavatsky teaches us that the life of the soul is eternal. What was joined by true kinship, by bonds of deep love, remains alive in the spheres where human eyes cannot penetrate, but where the heart in sleep can still touch. This continuity is not an uncomfortable faith invented to soothe pain. It is a profound spiritual reality. When you truly love someone, that love leaves its mark on your spirit, a mark that cannot be erased by time, separation, or even death. Dreams of the departed often serve as reminders of this great truth. We are not alone in our journey. The souls we love are still near, even when their bodies no longer walk beside us. Sometimes they visit us to ease our pain. sometimes to say a final word of support, and sometimes to let us know that love is stronger than all the barriers this world can erect. When you close your eyes tonight, remember this. Perhaps, on the other side of the veil, someone you love is waiting for you. Not with anxiety, not with suffering, but with the serenity of one who knows that the soul's time is different from the earth's time. Perhaps this presence does not manifest in clear words. Perhaps it is just a soft sensation, a warmth touching your chest, a whisper that only the heart can hear. And in that sacred silence, perhaps you can hear it very quietly. I never left. I simply went further. This is the journey of the soul. This is the eternity of love. Life does not end at the moment of death. It transforms, expands, and finds new ways of expression. And love, that invisible thread uniting souls beyond space and time, continues to vibrate, to call, to support. Blavatsky urges us to trust this mystery with humility and courage. To live each day with gratitude, knowing that nothing true is lost. To recognize in small gestures of kindness, in silent premonitions, in dreams that warm the soul, the living presence of those we love. For life is greater than we think, and love, that sacred gift, the bridge on which we will one day return home. If these reflections have found meaning for you, enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to receive more stories and reflections like this one. This way, you won't miss any new material. Take care, and until next time.